This past week, President Joe Biden invited tech and automotive CEOs to the White House to discuss the $1.75 trillion Build Back Better plan. At the meeting, GM CEO Mary Barra and Jim Farley, CEO of Ford, were there, but of course, Tesla CEO Elon Musk was not invited to the event. Joe Biden has been ignoring Tesla, even though Tesla is the largest EV manufacturer in the United States with an astounding 63% market share. Elon Musk even tweeted to the president quite frustrated that Tesla is being excluded. He wrote, "Starts with a T, ends with an A, ESL in the middle." But of course the president refuses to even acknowledge Tesla's existence. CNBC's Sarah Eisen actually asked Brian Deese, the White House director of the National Economic Council, who hosted this event, why Tesla wasn't invited. He responded by saying that all of the CEOs at the event were underscoring things like investing in childcare or in early education, which are core economic issues right now, which is a completely irrelevant answer trying to avoid the question. But he eventually goes on to say that he wants the United States to be the place where the EV revolution is driven to gain more of a global export market share and create more good jobs in America. And that's not about any one individual company. He says laying the foundation so that companies feel confident to invest to build vehicles and batteries and other components to create good jobs. Now, Sarah Eisen correctly steps in here and says that's exactly what Elon Musk is doing with Tesla. But Brian Deese says, well, we're looking at anyone who's investing and helping to position the United States to be a leader in the EV revolution. Well, they're certainly not looking at Tesla, which is the only company that is already able to check all of the boxes here, since they are the only leader in the United States. Actually, Volkswagen has the second highest market share in the US EV space at about 1/5 of Tesla, and they're not even an American company. Tesla has invested heavily in the United States with multiple plants all around the country. They have a gigafactory in Nevada, which has been making batteries in the US for the past 6 years. They've been building and assembling cars in Fremont, California since 2010, when they purchased GM's fossil fuel car making plant after GM went bankrupt. And plus, Tesla actually has numerous other factories, including a gigafactory in Buffalo, New York, where they produce solar panels, but also the components and electronics for superchargers. Tesla, of course, having the largest fast charging network in the world with over 30,000 chargers right now. And Tesla is working hard to add even more and also open the network up to other car companies as well. And yet, the White House has been completely ignoring the company, focusing instead on GM and Ford. Clearly, it's a mistake not to invite Tesla, who's been at the forefront of the shift to EVs far longer than any other company out there. Now, at this conference, with these company CEOs sitting around him, Biden addresses clean energy manufacturing, saying that you all, referring to the CEOs, are bringing manufacturing back to the US. He later says, a real breakthrough began last year when Mary Barra and Jim Farley of GM and Ford, some of the key labor leaders, announced that they're moving to an all-electric future for vehicles. Now, so far, this hasn't really been the case. General Motors produced 26 electric vehicles last quarter, and Ford sold 27,140 EVs in all of 2021. For reference, Tesla delivered 308,000 EVs worldwide just in the fourth quarter alone, and did 936,000 EVs for the year, which is the highest number of electric vehicles of any automaker in the world, 34 times higher than Ford's EV sales. The scary thing for the United States is that if you don't count Tesla, the US is actually losing the EV race pretty badly. Most other auto manufacturers around the world are moving much faster than GM and Ford. Volkswagen, for example, sold about 453,000 EVs globally across all of its brands combined, which includes Porsche and Audi and other brands. Although 3/4 of their production is in Europe, Volkswagen does have the second place market share in the US at around 11%, behind Tesla's 63% US share. Furthermore, companies such as NIO in China are moving at extreme speeds as well, much faster than Ford or GM, and they aren't bogged down by being attached at the hip to a gas car business. China listens to and favors its own automakers, trying to make them stronger, while the US has been ignoring their top automaker. In China, foreign companies that don't produce all electric cars need to have a joint venture with a Chinese company if they want to operate in China. GM, for example, has a joint venture with state-owned SAIC. Tesla is the only foreign automaker with a wholly owned plant in China. But while Joe Biden thinks that manufacturing is coming back to America through Ford and GM, it's important to note that EV manufacturing is also in a sense returning to the rest of the world as well in this massive shift from gas car manufacturing to EV manufacturing. It's an extremely competitive market, and the automakers who don't ramp up fast enough will easily be replaced by competitors from Europe, China, Japan, etc. So it's not enough to say that Ford and GM are bringing manufacturing back if at the same time they're losing that ICE portion of the business. They'll need electric vehicles to exceed their ICE vehicle sales if they truly want to bring manufacturing back to the US. But currently, GM and Ford are shrinking rapidly, and only Tesla is gaining share globally. It's also not enough for the president to say that a real breakthrough has begun when GM and Ford announced an all-electric future. Perhaps the idea of EVs has finally broken through to their stubborn management who have been supporting fossil fuels all these years, but announcements alone are not breakthroughs. There are no technological advancements that could be considered breakthroughs at these companies, and they're far behind the curve in terms of execution as well. GM has been the absolute worst at executing on EVs, having to recall all of their Bolt vehicles, selling only 26 EVs in the final quarter of last year. Now, moreover, this past week, President Biden highlighted GM's new $7 billion investment in Michigan, aiming to add 4,000 jobs over time and boosting electric vehicle and battery manufacturing. This is part of GM's overall plan to build 1 million electric cars by 2025 and to dethrone Tesla as the leader in EV sales. At this point, however, it's become a joke that GM and Ford continue to call themselves the leaders, while Tesla's absolutely crushing them. Tesla sold almost 1 million EVs last year in 2021, and they plan to grow production by at least 50% for the foreseeable future. At this rate, Tesla could be selling upwards of 4 million cars by 2025. So this is great that GM has big ambitions to surpass Tesla with just 1 million vehicles, but there's no sense being completely unrealistic as they set themselves up for failure. And by the way, stop using Yahoo Finance, stop using Google Finance, and have a look at our website, themarketisopen.com, where we have instant stock quotes and financial data going back 10 years, and it's all freely available. The Build Back Better plan also includes $3.5 billion for converting U.S. factories into EV or fuel cell vehicles. Biden also wants to provide support for 50,000 new charging stations. Of course, GM would want the free money and incentives to help them repurpose their plants, but interestingly enough, Tesla already does all of this without the government's help. And on top of that, Elon Musk has said that Tesla doesn't need government money and the entire Build Back Better plan should be cancelled. Tesla is just about to complete the building out of its Giga Texas factory. This factory will cost Tesla $10 billion over time, which is all being spent in the United States, and will create over 20,000 direct jobs and 100,000 indirect jobs. And again, Tesla is doing this without any potential incentives from the Build Back Better plan. Just this week, we also learned that Tesla's California factory is the most productive factory in North America, having built more cars than any other automotive plant in 2021, averaging over 8,500 cars per week from a single factory. Tesla's vehicles are also the most American-made, even surpassing Ford, which actually builds many of its cars in Mexico. It's interesting that the United States already has the best EV maker in the world right at home, but they're purposely going out of their way to not listen to anything Elon Musk or Tesla has to say, and failing to support their winners and their best hopes of actually being competitive on a global scale. So why is Biden snubbing Tesla? You see, Biden only invited to this event supporters of his Build Back Better plan. Elon Musk has openly said that he doesn't support the plan, which according to Elon has hidden incentives such as support for gas stations. The Build Back Better plan is likely quite important for Biden to show that he is competent and can get things done in order to be re-elected, and so he needs to garner support for his failing plan, which is why he only invited the CEOs that will say whatever they need to get big incentives for their companies. Biden has also called firms like GM and Ford labor leaders, meaning that they support unions, which is important for him since the United Auto Workers has massive influence in the government. While unions may have been useful when the US automakers were very much monopolies or oligopolies back in the 70s, it's now a hindrance that stifles innovation. They are now anti-competitive, especially if everyone's job is extremely stable and a paycheck predictably comes in every 2 weeks. In that case, what's the point of innovating? A company like Tesla has to essentially fight for its life as they get attacked from all angles, and so massive innovation has been required to create great products. Even Ford CEO Jim Farley has actually acknowledged and given some respect to Elon Musk and Tesla. He recently said in an interview with Yahoo Finance that the most respectable car maker is Tesla, and he's extremely impressed with their margins and how they've been able to make on the order of $10,000 per vehicle. He even said this before Tesla reported their Q4 results this week, where Tesla revealed that they have the highest margins out of anyone in the industry, demonstrating that electric vehicles can be more profitable than gas cars. Of course, that said, not all electric vehicles are equal. There is a software component that Tesla has successfully integrated into their product, while other automakers are still lagging in this area. But Joe Biden appears to be afraid of Tesla. Elon Musk has a strong influence, especially on Twitter, and it's very much against having the country print out even more money, especially if Tesla, being the largest EV maker in the country, is saying that they don't need the Build Back Better plan incentives, which are supposed to be designed to support their core product. Instead, Biden is just supporting the union companies. Additionally, it would look really bad if GM or Ford needed a bailout in the future, so by supporting them, he's trying to ensure that these companies will make it through this EV transition. Historically, when there's a major paradigm shift in technology, the incumbent players tend to not make it through in one piece. Look no further than Nokia or Motorola, who downsized dramatically just a few years after Apple released the iPhone. Now, moreover, at this event, GM CEO Mary Barra says that EV credits do stimulate the market and getting strong demand is very important. Now, this is strange because currently, most EV makers have such massive demand that they can't even keep up. The problem isn't demand for anyone, it's supply. However, General Motors no longer gets EV credits since they hit their 200,000 car threshold along with Tesla. But the Build Back Better plan would include up to $12,500 in vehicle credits, for which about $4,500 of that is for union-made cars. Actually, GM stands to benefit the most from EV credits since it's the only US automaker that has both unions and builds its cars in the US, whereas Ford has unions but builds its Mustang Mach-E in Mexico. But saying that credits are needed to spur demand makes no sense, especially when GM is selling just 26 cars. They need free money to survive. Mary Barra also highlights the importance of building out EV charging since GM, of course, has almost no chargers, and it being vital to have advanced manufacturing and battery manufacturing in the US. Again, credits and incentives are not needed for this, as we've seen Tesla build out chargers, factories, and batteries in the US without government subsidies. The Build Back Better plan is designed to spend almost $2 trillion to try and make the US economy more competitive. However, Elon Musk is opposed to the plan, and he demonstrated that Tesla can make the US more competitive without printing all of this extra money, which has side effects such as further increasing inflation. Instead, the bill is designed to support unions, which actually makes the economy less competitive. Entrepreneur and internet personality Gary Vee has analogized in a different context, but it applies here very much, that if you release zoo animals into the wild, they would be finished within the first 10 seconds. The US auto industry requires bailouts and incentives and hand-holding and doesn't seem to be able to operate in a competitive market on its own. They drastically lack innovation, partially because union jobs are very comfortable, meaning there's no pressure or external forces to push for new ideas. While Joe Biden may have some bias since his father ran a Ford dealership and a Chevy dealership, he appears to be letting his personal feelings get in the way of running the country. He may be trying to garner support from the legacy automakers, But today, Tesla employs over 100,000 people and has plenty of influence, especially on social media. It would likely serve him better to partner with the largest automaker in the world, which luckily happens to be headquartered in the US, instead of ignoring Tesla and making decisions that could end up costing the country trillions of dollars. So do you think that the Build Back Better plan should be passed? And why do you think the president continues to completely ignore Tesla and Elon Musk and not invite them to a summit on electric vehicles for which Tesla is both the US and global leader? Be sure to watch my last video linked in the description below, where I made the case that Tesla is anti-fragile and that a recession could actually benefit Tesla for a number of reasons. Please hit the like button and subscribe, we would really appreciate that. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons that help to support our channel. Your support helps us to continue to make great content. Thank you guys so much for watching.